everyone, my name is PrimeTime Moff and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Oddimus Prime. Thank you so much for joining us in this week's episode, where we're reflecting on 40 years of Transformers and asking the questions, what are our favourite comics, movies, cartoons, video games, and finally, our favourite experiences in the hobby. So sit back and enjoy the ride. Simon, how are you?
I'm doing good, mate. I'm doing good. It's another exciting time, another exciting video, and more reflections so we can finally put the last 40 years to rest.
Yes. So we're going to try and go through this quite succinct because, again, we've talked through pretty much everything in this we have talked through in our 40 years. So at any point you want to hear about more about it, go back, listen. They're all up there. They're all there available to do, and you'll be able to hear a bit more detail on them. So let's run through our comics first and foremost. So my very first comic is probably my favourite piece of media out there for Transformers, and that is More Than Meets the Eye. I just think it's an absolutely fantastic written piece, and every time I've read it, I've taken something new from it, which speaks a lot to the quality of the writing from James Roberts. And James is a wonderful person as well. I enjoy spending time chatting to him, so it helps make it even more. It gives me more affection for the series as a whole.
Yeah, our top five lists are similar in a lot of ways. So this is going to be a bit quicker because I won't need
Yeah,
to say what mine is, but it's in a different position. But that's fine. Yeah, no, more than it's a great comic. It's really interesting the way they diverged the storylines and made everything a little bit different, a little bit more fun. Yeah, it's great. I couldn't agree that it should be in the top five anymore. However, my number one choice is again the OG, the Generation One comic. I loved reading it when I was a kid. I used to have a subscription. It used to come through with my paper, with my parents' paper on a weekly basis. And I had to take it to school and read it in my break time and sit and chat about it with my mates at the time. Um, I have less recollection of storylines, and I haven't gone back to it in a long time. But the whole feeling of
yeah.
finding out the storylines and reading it at school and talking about it with my mates, and now in this day and age, having getting to know Simon Furman and talking to him about the different stories, having met most of the artists. Jeff Senior was like my favorite artist when I was a kid, and the first artist and comic book writer whose names I knew. So yeah, that will always be my top comic.
Yeah, unlike what I said about the kind of toy, I'd love to almost put G1 in there. I never read it as a kid, didn't even know it existed as a kid. Our wee village had the smallest of newsagents, and the only comics I saw were your Beanos and Dandies, and never saw Transformers until I was at a BB camp in late 80s, saw this comic, was like, oh my goodness, a Transformers comic, shoplifted said comic. Only time I've ever shoplifted in my life, but got so freaked out by the feeling of shoplifting that I literally walked out the shop, put it in the bin, ran away, and was really embarrassed. So that's the only experience I have of G1 comic first time around. I didn't have that feeling at all, sadly, but I am now rereading. I first read it in the late 90s on a PC screen, not the way to read it, in a really poor scanned version because that was all was available at the time. And was like, it wasn't that good. But now I'm rereading it and I get it. I get why people have that affection for it. I think there is a bit of you have the nostalgia for it as well, which makes you put it up there. Not that saying it's not good, it's just that kind of rereading it, it's not got the same. I don't have the same love for it enough to put it in my top five, but I can see why people do.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, it is that. So, yours.
Yeah. My next one then, again, similar vein, put it up there in one of the top the top media out there for the franchise, and it is Last Stand of Wreckers. If I was to pick my top based on the comic I have reread the most, it'd be Last Stand of Wreckers, mainly because I've reread it more and more than me says it's smaller. It's easier to kind of just pick up and rattle through rather than more me size it an adventure to go through. Last Stand of Wreckers just fantastic. And again, knowing Nick and get to spend time with Nick just makes it even better.
Yeah, it's always great. I love Los Angeles Records. It's my number three in my top three, top five. It's a great storyline. It's really nice to have things that were from the G1 comic that weren't part of the toys and weren't part of the other media, have them come back. So the Wreckers themselves and some of the characters there, great stuff. My second choice is my first, well, the only bit of Dreamwave that I'm going to mention, and again, I think this is on your list, and
Yes.
that is War Within. It's just such a cracking, awesome piece of work. There's some amazing character designs in there. It was the first time we properly got into the nitty gritty of the Cybertronian war prior to them coming to Earth, and it was just so good. Simon Furman, obviously, and some really interesting themes and some stuff in there that just shaped a lot of stuff moving forward. And inspire things like the War for Cybertron computer games and all that sort of stuff. Have you got anything else you want to say about
No.
that?
Yes and no. I loved Dreamwave when it came out. Having not, as I said, not known the comics originally, I then got the Titan books, which will, also gives me my next one away in a minute. But when Dreamwave came out, I was all over it. Like, but every version of the cover I could pick up, loved the Dreamwave stuff. But I think the pinnacle of the Dreamwave stuff was War Within. It was just, it's just, it kind of gave you the proper backstory and kind of really delved into who they were when they were young. And I just thought it was fantastic. And such a shame that Dreamwave were useless and screwed up to finish off the final one. So my next one was the first proper chance I got to really delve into the comics was when Titan Books started doing their graphic novels. And I picked up the G2, the Marvel US G2 issues and the over the two books and just was like, this is just fabulous. You know, I literally have my new logo, you can kind of see, based off that first issue. Um, I hunted down then after I read the book, I went and hunted down the single issues. I just love it, and it very much. It said, "This is not your father's Autobot," which is hilarious because your father certainly would not have been collecting Transformers. He'd have only been at that point. But it was certainly not your childhood Transformers. Was the way I kind of more look at it. It was much more. Or it was to me because I hadn't read the G1 stuff. I know the G1 UK comics got a bit more like that. You know, they certainly weren't kiddie friendly like the cartoon, but the G2 comic just was like, this is something different to anything I've ever read before. So I thoroughly enjoy it. And again, it's such a short run. It's easy to kind of pick up and just read through. I now have a complete set of the original comics, all signed by Simon Furman, which are one of my prized possessions.
I like you with G1. I didn't do the G2 comic at the time. I sort of missed it. I've gone back into it a couple of times and I'm familiar with it, but not like massively familiar
Yeah,
with it. But I did love there's some things in there which have stuck around in other versions, like the G2, the design for G2 Sideswipe, and that whole bit where he turns up with like
yeah, all
festooned
guns.
with loads of guns and that crazy expression, that wonderful Jeff Senior art. Love it.
I think the next couple of choices
Yeah.
for you and me are ones we've already talked about. So your third one is
Last Side of the Wreckers. Your
my
fourth
fourth one
is,
would be War Within.
and my
Your
fourth
fourth
one
one.
is Matumti, Mother Meets the Eye.
Our
So
final choices slightly differ.
yes.
Again, so I think you look back, we've got three choices that are in there, which replicate each other, which just talks at the quality of More Than Meets the Eye, Last Stand of the Wreckers, and War Within. If you haven't read these, I thoroughly implore you to go and spend some time reading them. But let's finish off the comics with my final choice, which was All Hail Megatron. There was just something fun about it. I loved the comic covers. I thought it was really cool. I didn't do all the IDW stuff in print. Like I did a lot of stuff through the IDW digital app, just through space and time. All Hail Megatron was one of the ones where I was like, nope, I want to own this all in print cover. I thought it was really fun.
Yeah, no, All Hail Megatron was a great storyline. I had all the comics, but I got to reading it. Most of the IDW stuff I got to reading it quite a bit later. But it was just such a really fun, as you say, storyline and a really interesting way to go. And yeah, loved it. My choice for number five is the most recent iteration of the comics, the Skybound stuff. It's probably my mind may change over time, but currently this is where it sits. I've only read some of it, but I'm enjoying it so much. It's a really really interesting fun take. I've spoken about it in a few other videos. My opinion has not changed, and it is now my fifth favorite comic.
It's a great choice, and I have which will be on the channel, but so I'm lost with when this airs. But we have a little meetup in January. I'm not going to say later in January or but previous to this. I think it's I don't know when this will air. I think this airs after we had the meetup. But we've got a trip, so I've got a flight down to London and back, and I have bought the second graphic novel. And I'll take the first and second to kind of reread the first one, then leading into the second one because I'm so looking forward to it. I'm liking picking this up in a graphic novel format 'cause it's just nicer and tidier on my shelves. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's a really good choice. So we spoke a little bit more probably on that than we probably will about the next couple of ones because we didn't really delve into the comics too much when we talked through the episodes. And the next bit, I think we're going to just run off the list because I think it's right just to kind of close it off and we have got plans of doing stuff with the movies. So it's the movies, and we have got plans of doing stuff in the movies. So don't want to kind of go in. So let's just run through the order. And I
Yeah.
just realised it's a top six, but I'm okay with being a top six. I'm going to leave it as
Oh,
a
yeah.
top six just because I don't know how I've managed to do that. So I am going to go with nostalgia. I top movie from nostalgia point of view have to be the '86 movie. I've always said about I'm going to quickly just give my wee spiel about what I think your favourite things can relate to. So I've always said your favourite song's the song you've listened to the most, your favourite album's the one you listen to the most, your favourite movie's the movie you listen to watch the most, your game, all that kind of aspect. So for that basis, there is no movie, and I don't just mean Transformers, no movie comes close to the 1986 movie. I have watched that so many times. I watch every year on my birthday and numerous times out throughout the year when I just feel like I want to pick me up or I just want to watch it or a toy has come in and made me go, some general a movie toys come in. So 86 movie is my top, and I believe it's you. Well, we have the exact
Yeah.
same list, the
Yeah,
same
we
order.
exactly the same list, and yeah, for all the reasons you said, and also it is a genuinely good film.
Yeah,
It's got a
awesome
decent
soundtrack.
storyline, awesome soundtrack, and yeah, even if I wasn't as into Transformers as I am, I would still put it in my top list of films.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just a great movie.
Okay, so for the next five, because we can take that out of the equation, so we'll do the top five out with that, out with eight. That's almost a given. That's like your G1 bit. Like we should have maybe just done G1 and then the top five. So top five then in order: TF1, Bumblebee, Transformers 2007, Dark of the Moon, and Rise of the Beasts. 86 movie we did an episode on, so I'm quite
Yeah,
comfortable that we've done enough on that. The other ones we have got plans to do something with the movie going forward, so I'm not going to go into any more
no.
detail unless there's anything you want to add for
Yeah, I mean,
those.
all that I'll add on that is that TF1 obviously I feel like that might change its position in the list at some point in the future, but because it's new and fresh, that's
Yeah,
possibly had a bit of an impact on us. But also, I do really love it, and I watched it again recently and thought,
I agree
I
with you.
still completely like this as much as I did last time. And the others, I would stick by that order completely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think the
yeah,
TF1, one last one on TF1 then is I do think it's a better film than 86 movie based on the aspect of it on a standalone.
mm,
86 movie needs you to know about Transformers and the lead up to it. It introduces new characters, but not really the concept of it, where I think the TF1
yeah,
as a standalone is
yeah,
a better film. But
yeah.
86 movie's my favourite film. So anyway. Right, okay, into cartoons then.
Hmm.
So our order, I went with actual order. I don't know if you've went in order because I realised that when we were doing the comics, we could have probably just went, here's three that we really agree on, and here's two we differ on. We could kind of do that with this one. Um, but I have actually went in my order of my top to my fifth.
Yeah, mine is actually in that order.
Perfect, that's fine. So we'll continue with that. I just thought if it's not, let's just kind of bounce off and go these ones, but let's go for it. So my very favourite one is Transformers animated. It's the show that if I'm going to go and watch a couple of episodes of Transformers, generally I'll go back and watch animated. I just think it's so much fun. Just there's so many bits about it. That first episode where they show the old G1 cartoon and show his archival footage just got me straight away. I was like, I like this show because I like the humor in it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been over animated multiple times, and my initial disdain and then growing love for it, and it is on my list, but not as number one. Number four, in fact, but we'll get there. My first pick is Transformers Prime, because it was the first thing that came after the movies that really grabbed me. As I said, animated didn't at the time,
Mm.
but it's aimed at adults and kids. Well, it's a kids show, but there's
Yeah,
enough adult stuff in there to make you interested. The design stuff looks really good. The toys were amazing, and it had a really decent storyline that sort of carried on throughout all the episodes. I just love it. It's the one again I go back to and watch them multiple times.
I agree, agree. And I've put it in as my number three. Um, for everything you've said, I absolutely agree. Our number twos are the same. And I think it's the best storytelling in all the shows. Animated is the most fun for me to go watch back, but I think Beast Wars has got the best storytelling.
Definitely.
I think anybody that can watch Beast Wars and not get emotional in the Dinobot episode has not got a heart. And it's the story arc of him and his character, and it properly, that's the second Transformers cartoon, and yet it sets such a high standard. G1 does not set that standard of storytelling. Let's just be honest about it. Beast Wars did. Beast Wars focused on a smaller cast for the whole main part. It justified new toys coming in. It justified new versions of characters' toys in a perfectly acceptable way. And then just it got better and better as it went. I absolutely love Beast Wars and have rewatched it almost as many times. Not as almost as many times as animated, but second to animated, I've probably watched Beast Wars the most.
Yeah, everything you just said. It has a story that continues on and links all through the different episodes. You have character development, like actual proper character development for characters in that. You know, like headstrong characters become more stoic. You've got the whole character turn for Dinobot, Black Arachnia.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
just so good. Love it.
Black Arachnids often gets forgotten about because of Dinobots,
Mm.
which is a shame. Dinobots is quicker and not easier, but quicker. But the Black Arachnids, anyway, brilliant cartoon. If you've not watched it, and I know people haven't, I know people are like, oh, back to the Truck Not Monkey. Watch it, and tell me you don't enjoy it all the way through. It
Yeah.
is. So my
Apparently
next
the
choice
animation's
would
a
be
bit ropey
Prime.
these days. Sorry.
Yeah, but there is a beautiful 4K version on YouTube
Yes,
that
yes.
makes it look so much better. Um, Transformers Prime would be my third choice for all the reasons you've given, so we're not going to go any more on that. So your third
Uh,
choice would be?
my third choice is G1, but again, it's less because it's actually good. It's more because of the nostalgia of it and how I it is a comfort thing. It's something
Yeah,
I can put on and it'd be like, ah, yeah, good old Transformers, and it's fun. It is by no means the best in terms of storyline, storytelling, character development, anything like that. All the stuff
yeah,
that you look for in something these days is all missing from that, and it is just a glorified toy advert in a lot of ways. The same way all of those 80s shows were very formulaic, very simple storylines. There is obviously some gems in there,
yeah.
but yeah, that's why it's not number one. I'm not going to stick it at number one because it's not actually that great.
No, and I've got it in for number four for all the exact same reasons. Some of the best episodes of G1 are absolutely up there. Like I think the Rebirth stands alone as a fantastic three-parter that
Mm,
is just fun to watch. That's my G1 go-to. I go back and watch. I've watched Rebirth more than I've watched anything else of
yeah.
G1. There are some standalone stuff like the Skyfire stuff at the very beginning. It's why I love Skyfire because I just really got into them. The Dinobot episodes are some absolute stonkers, but there are some stinkers, and it didn't suffer from the same challenges as the Masters of the Universe of let us introduce a new character every week. But there was points where it's just they turn up and it's new characters. And I notice, having reread the J1 comic, it kind of does it as well. So
Mm.
I then go, well, actually, the both of them had that challenge, and they had to have that challenge. That there
Yeah.
were shows and comics that were produced to sell toys. So unshockingly. So moving on then for your fourth choice.
My fourth choice is animated, which we've already gone over.
Yeah. So our first four cartoons were all the same and just in slightly different orders. But our fifth one we differentiate.
Ooh.
My fifth one, if you'd asked me to do this time last year, I would not have put on because I had only seen one or two episodes in the terrible dub version. It was only my birthday last year that I made the decision to go back and watch something I hadn't fully watched, and I picked Master Force. And oh my goodness, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So much so that I am genuinely considering rewatching it again this year, just because actually now that I've watched it and enjoyed it, I want to watch it and dissect it a little bit. You know, go back and watch it now, having seen it all, and see what bits I'm missing. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was so fun to watch a G1 era cartoon as if it was brand new. So it was great. Really thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I need to do that. Again, I've seen bits of it, but I've not gone through and watched the whole thing like you have. Need to do that. My fifth choice is a bit of a curveball because I think it's most people's most hated Transformers series. But partly because I never really hated it at the time. I quite enjoyed it. I liked the direction the story went, and again, story, and
Mm.
also it's got a lot to do with the fact that we've been chatting to Bob Skier, and he's a lovely,
Yes,
lovely guy,
yes,
and it put a whole
yes,
bit of
yes.
a different twist on it.
I
So,
agree.
Beast Machines.
Agree. I also think Beast Machine's a bit like Armada. For me, is one that at the time, not interested, couldn't click. It just didn't work for me. I was like, I'm not really feeling this. Having wait and rewatched it when it didn't need to click or work or be the G1, whatever was wrong with it at the time, I thoroughly enjoyed it on a
Hmm.
rewatch. Maybe two, three. When did we first interview Bob Scare? 2 years ago. I
Yeah.
rewatched it after we talked to Bob Scare, and I was like, this is or no, before we interviewed him. And I was like, this is really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, people should give, again, like Beast Wars, I think people wear, this is not my Transformers. And now we're 40 years into it. It doesn't need to be your Transformers anymore. And that's
No.
why you can kind of go and just enjoy these. So, no, a really good finishing choice. So, we're going to go to video games. And I'm just looking when I kind of similar, but there's not many video games. So let's be honest, there's not really going to be much disparity in terms of the choices we have. We have four of the same and one that differs.
Yeah.
Let's run through them. So the first one for me, PS2 Armada. It it's not the best game, but it blew me away. I did not have an interest in Armada, but it was so good. I got a demo on. I can't remember. I've still got the demo disc. That's how much the demo impressed me. The demo played it and went, "Oh my goodness, this is amazing!" And I went and picked up Armada, and that was never a thing I would do, like buy a demo and just have to own it. But I remember the next day going, "I need to go and find this." Going into Glasgow and trying to find a copy of it. It was brilliant. And the fact that I really did not enjoy Armada, but thoroughly enjoyed the video game. And um, really, I would prefer a remake of that over any of the other ones just because I think so many people have not experienced that. And I think it would be cool for people to go, wait a minute, this is the first real, proper, decent Transformers game.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. For all of those reasons, it's on my list. It is number four, but it is definitely on those. I remember getting it and sitting in my room and just playing the heck out of that game. I'm not entirely sure I ever actually finished it, but I did play it a lot. But that's more of a testament to me being terrible at computer games than the game being hard. Um, right. My next two choices are the same as your next two choices, so
Yep.
let's just lump them all into one thing. It's
Yeah.
War for Cybertron and Fall for Cybertron. One and two for me, and three and four for you. But we've spoken about them quite a lot already, so I don't want to go too far into them.
No.
But they were just amazing, amazing games. So much fun, such interesting storyline. They did a really, really bang up job of
Yeah.
creating Cybertron, making it all believable, and have some fun games with decent
Yeah.
storyline and a decent multiplayer in full Cybertron.
I dug the both of them out to replay them just before the kind of leaked rumors of it getting remastered, and I just went, I'm putting them aside because actually I'll just wait and do the remasters. So I'm sure at some point this year when they drop, we will do an episode chatting about them.
Oh, definitely.
But I think we should. I haven't talked about Armada. I'm thinking going. I think we need to go back and play Armada now just to kind of chat it through at some point.
We can get an emulator.
Work it out, live stream it or something. I don't know.
Hmm.
Anyway, so the first one that we differentiate, so let's go to our differentiated ones because you
Yep.
say my first three were Armada, War for Cybertron, Fall Cybertron, yours was War, Fall, and then your fourth is PS2 Armada. It's on the number three that on my fourth and your third that we differentiate. My fourth, or my next one was the Beast Wars Transmetal beat 'em up game. Again, not because it's a great game, but I just remember being really excited. I told you, like the Transmetal line was one of my absolute favourites. To be able to have some form of beat 'em up, some form of Transformers game was really cool. So I was just excited to have something, and it's kind of fun. Like it's not a bad game, but it's just maybe not the kind of game you'd be like, let's have to play this. But I do think a TF UK con at some point with a Transmetal beat 'em up Beast Wars tournament would be great fun.
I have never played that game, and I'm not even sure I was aware it existed.
Have you just based on that then? Have you played the Japanese PS2 G1 Transformers game?
I'm aware of that. I've not played it.
We are going to so at some point we're going to do a together episode. We're going to rectify both of those bits because I have
I
both
like
of
this
them. We can
plan.
do that.
That
Yes,
is a good
let's.
plan.
Yeah.
Um, I have instead gone for one of the many, it seems, mobile games that have come out over the last few years. And this one, because it's been knocking around for ages and hasn't just died like all the others have, and that's Transformers Earth Wars, which is a sort of a strategy kind of Transformers game. But all the writing is done by Simon Furman. You get to collect different Transformers in it and you destroy other people's bases. It's not the world's most clever game, but it's quite fun and it really hits my buttons in terms of being a irritating collector who loves blind box things because you get crates and you might get transformers in them and blah blah blah, and then you have to collect them. So yeah, it's a fun little game, a bit daft, but it's fun until I get annoyed with playing it and uninstall it again, which happens quite regularly.
Sounds like a game I should try. I don't really play mobile games at all. My wife does more than me, or well, more than me because I don't play at all. She's always playing with mobile games. I'm always tempted, but I would just lose hours, and I know that, so I don't
Yeah,
play mobile
don't
games.
start, don't start. Just don't do it. Don't do it.
And then we went with our fifth choice is the same choice, and again, remembering that we don't have a massive selection of other games to go from, it was kind of obvious that we were going to end up having very, very similar lists, and it is Transformers Devastation. Which is a proper kind of cool, cel shaded, kind of funky game that, again, in similar bits, it's not perfect because there's a bit of it's just repetitive, repetitive,
Yeah,
repetitive.
yeah, yeah.
But it was just cool to have a G1 Transformers game. Like, I remember just that excitement of making a G1 Transformers game. This is cool.
It is cracking. The designs are really nice. I want to see some more Studio Series stuff come out for it, which I think it might be.
I think
Um,
there is on the list, yeah.
and yeah, it's just a lot of fun, and it looks amazing. It sounds amazing. It's a really really good fun game, and yeah, I'm not surprised we both got on our list.
Fantastic. So, to close off this episode, a last piece to cover, and we threw this in here. It's not media, but it doesn't really fit in anything else. The the biggest, most important part for me now on Transformers is the friendships and the fandom. You know, the I spend more time talking to people that I have met through Transformers than anything else. My whole life revolves around people I have met through Transformers. I now work for somebody who I met through Transformers. You know, my it's such a big pivotal part of my life that when we were chatting through this, we were like, we need to, and I know you have very similar feelings as well. Like we have to have something in about experiences. So we could talk for hours about the experiences, and at some point we may do something along that. But I thought let's just put in our top five and just kind of close off 40 years. what things have meant. And we're taking out the getting your first Transformer feeling and
Yeah.
all that kind of bits. We're putting it in the adult bit of it because it's us as adults. Why do we still collect these things 40 years later? So the two of us has went to the first same theme for our first bit, which is our first convention. So my first convention, I don't know if I told the full story, but I'll quickly tell you the full story. I always wanted to go to Auto Assembly or always wanted to go to any of the conventions. My ex was absolutely against it. When I got with my now wife, she was like, "We should do it at some point." And I was like, "Yeah, we will, we will, we will." But it was me that kept going, "Oh, I need it just needs to be right." We found out we were going to have a baby during 2020, 2012, and at that point, I straight away went and booked it. We've sadly lost that kid. And but when we went to Auto Assembly 2012, which was my first convention, she was pregnant with Jamie, and she was tired, very grumpy, but was very accommodating. But it was just awesome. So much so that at the closing panel of Auto Assembly 2012, they put up that they were going to be selling lifetime tickets. That meant you paid for it there and then, and that was you never having to pay again for a Transformers convention. So I jumped on it and was like, yeah, I'm doing that. It gives me an excuse and a reason to always come back to these. I got a couple out of it. It still worked out better value for money. Obviously, it was not a lifetime pass as it turned out to be because there's no assembly. But I just remember just being like, this is incredible. And it was a very different vibe to TFN's now auto assembly, very different, very very much what you think a Transformers geeky convention would be, which I don't think that's what TFN is now. TFN has a very different vibe. But
Mm.
that was my first convention.
My first one was TFN. Now, I think it was 2017. That's the I think it was 2017. Was going to go in 2016. I ended up not going. Um, at that point, I'd become friends with some of the guys of the Facebook groups, and it was those guys that I was going to go along with. But I didn't actually get to 2016. I ended up at 2017. Yeah, it was just I went up and stayed with my mate Tom in Telford, and then we drove down to the Hilton every day at that point. We didn't stay at the actual hotel, which in retrospect, oh no, actually no, not staying in the hotel that particular year was a good thing because it was a whole different experience and it meant that the experience changed following years. But yeah, and that was it's just a really your first content. You don't forget them. They're good fun
No,
and yeah,
no, I think and it sets you up for the rest. Like the reason you keep going is if you've a positive, if you had a terrible first page, you would do
oh yeah,
it. I'm just thinking, actually, I'm changing mine. I know that's a
yeah,
crazy thing to do, but my next one we're both got a similar bit in here,
yeah. I think
or a
that's
similar convention, which is a TFUK Con, which again has evolved, for our experiences and our participation in it. So I went to the first TFUK Con as just as a guest, as an attendee. You have been involved from the very beginning with regards to the
mhm.
tech, and you do a fantastic job running the tech.
Cheers, bud.
And it's, so much so that when I was asked 2 years ago, last minute, to step up and do the hosting, so I did the first time round. I just hosted. I interviewed Simon Furman and Andrew Wildman. Very, I am. People find it funny that I say I've got massive social anxiety, because I don't portray that when I'm in and around people. I work very hard not to have that feeling. I had massive anxiety for that one, but I knew that the tech bit of being able to get stuff to you and do stuff was just on point. I knew I didn't have to worry about that kind of stuff. And absolutely had a ball doing it. It has evolved. The con has evolved. The con is continuing to evolve. And it feels really fun to be involved with something. Like it
Mm.
seems weird to be involved with a convention to that level. And I know we talk all the time about what the future looks like for TFUK Con, but it is going to continue to be hopefully continue to be a fun part of our lives, and
Yeah,
just a kind
yeah.
of cool moment. And we've not put it either. I haven't put it in there, but like you said earlier on, like TFUK Con has given us the opportunity to speak to Simon Firm and Jeff
Mm,
Senior,
mm.
Andrew Wildman, all the in-person ones. You and I sat and interviewed Bob Budiansky. Like,
Yeah, it's
what's that
bonkers.
about? Like, how's that come about? So, and then Bob Skier, who's coming to this year's TF UK Con, we have had so many really cool moments, thanks to being involved in TF UK Con.
Yeah, I mean, again, I put back running the tech. I mean, I was involved with it because I was doing stuff with Greg from a couple of years prior to that, and then this whole thing sort of came about. The idea of uh, it started as a PrimeTime Toys get together, and then it sort of
Mhm.
evolved into TF UK Con with obviously Luke from TF UK getting involved, and Gav and everybody else on that sort of side of things. And yeah, it evolved into what it is. And I wanted to be doing something, and they asked me to do the well, running the PowerPoint and all the everything else. But yeah, it's been amazing. It's been so many amazing experiences with it, and absolutely love it, and really hope it carries on. And I'm going to be involved with it in whatever ways I can moving forward. Yeah.
Magic. Great. So for me, the next kind of three all have are all intertwined. I suppose number two is intertwined as well. Um, Back to a conversation I had with Greg 3 years ago, this month, and it's the aspect of getting taken becoming a part of prime time. So it started with me just offering to help him out a little bit, help him with some sales. I'd moved on to a shift where I was 4 days a week, had some free time. Can I help you out? That evolved into eventually joining Primetime Toys 2.5 years ago. To now, Primetime Toys taking over Primetime Toys. Primetime Toys is mine, for all the positives and the stress it causes me. I jest. It's the greatest thing. Um, like owning a toy business. Like I still have pinch myself moments to go, is this real? Like, what? How does this come about? And continually thank Greg, which I think he's firmly sick of hearing now, and tells me he's sick of hearing. And actually, he sent me a really nice message on Christmas Day and said, "I don't want anything back from you. Do not send me a message. I'm sick of it." And I joke away. So my kind of third experience in it is into the aspect of just firstly getting involved. Greg's such a kind and wonderful guy to get, give opportunities to people like you and me that have let us be involved with something so
Yeah.
cool. So that was my kind of next one. What about yourself?
Yeah, my next one. Well, I'm going to change my order slightly because I
Just
think
a bit
what's
full on for mine.
it's gonna work. That yeah. So this wasn't it's my number five, but it's going to be bumped up to my number three, and that is working with. Don't want to sound like a buttlicker, but it's working with Greg and yourself with PTT and PTTV. But I mean, for me, it's slightly different because I've never been part of the company, as it were. I've always been.
Yeah,
I refer to myself as
you're the hired help.
an indentured servant, because it's always been when I was helping out stuff for Greg, it was to pay for various toys I had on my list and stuff like that. But I've been involved with Greg since I think it was TFN 2018. I met Greg for the first
Mhm.
time, and we did got chatting, and I was helping him out with some of the website stuff, and then I was helping him out with the eBay stuff, and sort of just getting a few things sort of off the ground, giving him a bit of a hand. Paddy was working with him and working his way up to properly becoming part of the company at that point. So I was always around and helping out. And then we started doing PTTV, the original sort of first iteration of this was just before and then during lockdown. So sort of 2020, 2019, 2020 was when we were first doing this. And then obviously TFUK con, and then getting involved with doing the stand at TFN, and obviously getting to know you, and now you not getting rid of me immediately when you took over the company, so that's a good thing. Not that you pay me anyway. But yeah, that's it. All of the things that you said about it it's true, and you've got more to say about it. But yeah, it's been a really, really massive experience and a really, really good one. And it does link into my next bit, but we'll carry on with yours now.
So then I'm going to, as I say, mine's are all kind of themed. The next couple, well, I suppose, out with the very first convention, they're all kind of themed around some form or other printing toys. But my fourth one was TFN 2023. Having been at TFN's Auto Assembly, sorry, Transformers conventions and toy conventions for 25, 26 years at a point, TFN 2023 rolled around to spend the first proper one on the other end of the table with I'll butt lip for you and say, with wonderful people like you, Greg, and Paddy. I remember on the Friday morning, Greg had sneaked in to look at the hall, and it was like, oh, we can look at the hall, come to look. It just was incredibly exciting, incredibly fun, a totally different experience working at it behind the stall than it is attending it. Um, I think it'll only get better, if I'm honest. The thoughts I have for this year are just frighteningly good. I'm so excited for. And that's because we've built a good relationship with TFN. TFN have now, I class them as a kind of partner in terms of what I have for a business plan. But Billy and I chat all the time, and we chat about what the future of TFN looks like, what the future looks like for PrimeTime Toys being involved in. It's just incredibly rewarding to be integrated and be a part of it. And they have given us amazing positions at TFNs as well. But that first one, working with us all, has all gone up. And it's funny because there is an aspect that we miss out on the social bit that probably was there previously. We don't have the same amount of time going to spend with other people. But even this past year, it was like we still finished it Saturday. It's like, let's spend some time just us four before we go and do anything else. The Sunday, let's just spend time just as us before we go and say everything else. We spent all weekend together. It's not as if we're
Yeah.
it's just still it's us core one spends time, and it's just such an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, no, I can't. There's nothing I can say that would disagree with that. It's been so much fun. I used to work toy stands at a market. I've done conventions when I used to work at a comic shop, so I'm well used to this sort of thing. But doing it in TFM with you guys and just the experience of the stall and in that dealer's room. It's so much fun, and you don't get bored. And it's always nice talking to people. You can chat away to people for hours, as long as you serve the other customers or Greg gets grumpy. But yeah, I'm really happy to be part of it. That was that
Your
part.
next choice then?
Oh yeah. So it's sort of tangentially connected to all the PTT stuff. I started doing reviews on Fingers on Plastic, which is the first time I did any reviews and stuff on the internet, and so I actually got myself out there. And I really, really enjoyed them, and that was because of doing the stuff with Greg for PrimeTime Toys and the initial parts of PTTV. But yeah, we didn't do reviews on our channel, so I started working with Paddy and Simon and little Dave at the time and Exim Ferris doing videos and I really really enjoyed them. It sort of dropped off a bit. I haven't done it in a while, and I've been sort of concentrating more on our own stuff. I think I should do a few more of the things on plastic, to be honest. But I got some decent reviews on there, had some decent numbers, and it was just fun. Really, really good fun. You.
My final one is this experience. Before we started doing PTTV into It's the Nicest Way, I always classed you and Paddy as more Greg's friends. Getting to do more of Prime Time, I don't feel so much that with Paddy. I probably still felt that a little bit with you, but over the last 8 months, I now just to call you acquaintance. Like you've gone up from Greg's friend to my acquaintance. I think doing this. I don't think there's anybody I'd enjoyed doing this journey, going through the 40 years, chatting through more than yourself. Your knowledge is absolutely fantastic. Well, compared to mine anyway,
I
might be one
was
of the
going to
best
say, I'm
ones.
sure people in the comments might say
Uh,
differently.
but I have had such fun. Like we joke about the length of the episodes, but I promise you the amount of time we chat over and above it. So I've got to know you so much better now. I'm thoroughly looking forward to seeing you again in person before or after this episode, depending when it drops. So
I
it's
think it's
before
after,
this episode,
it's
100%.
before the
No,
episode
I think it's
drops.
before
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
this drops the last Sunday of the month, so
yeah.
it's definitely before. Um, so it's just been an absolute pleasure, and I'm so excited about what does the future look like, and that's because I know I'll get to spend more time chatting like about Transformers with you.
It's going to be fun. It's yeah. Again, nothing to add really to that. It's been really really good fun. I've really enjoyed this last year of making this channel, and this may seem a little bit self-indulgent, and probably people have been turning off. But also,
Likewise.
if you want to like see a blossoming friendship, go back and watch all of our videos and see how our relationship has evolved over the past 12 months of stuff. I'm gonna very quickly touch on this because I'm still gonna actually tell the full story um, when we eventually get to doing a video on the last night. But I went along to my next experience is I went along to a an event in London for Transformers the Last Night, which was it took place in a church that they're using the filming of the film. There was a bunch of people sat in this church, and we got Michael Bay and all of the cast of the film came out. There's interviews with them all. We all had a goodie bag under our chairs with last night toys in them. And there was like pictures up of all the film all around. It was an amazing little experience. And then we got to leave there and go and see the film in the IMAX at Leicester Square, which wasn't actually told to us at the time when we got the ticket for this thing. It was like announced when we were there. It was about a week or so before, or a couple of weeks before it came out. It was the press screening. And yeah, it was an amazing experience. I left there firmly of the opinion that this was the best Transformers movie.
But you were bribed by the fact they give you free
Oh,
stuff to make you feel that way. But it's
100% brainwashed.
experience. We've talked about this how many times in the umpteen weeks we've been doing this that you way you feel about something is absolutely impacted by the events around about you at the time, the experiences you have. There's so much of that.
Yeah,
I always think you'll remember the way something made you feel rather than the words somebody said or the music that was playing. It's the way you feel is more
yeah.
emotive and remember. So I think that has a big aspect in it. But you certainly were wrong with that opinion there
Oh
from.
no, I was very, very wrong. Anyway,
So that's us wrapped up. That's us pretty much at the end of everything, talking the 40th anniversary and going through the 40 years. It's been an incredible experience for me, incredibly enjoyable. Um, Kind of expensive because I bought things that I wouldn't have bought before, and I've still got a list of things I want to buy. But in a very much a fun way. So thank you everyone for watching. Remember, we've been doing these videos each week through this year as a kind of way to enjoy our hobby in a brand new way. The only thing we will ask from you is that if you've enjoyed our content, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel, help us grow. We have got really good aspirations for what we're going to do going forward. Nothing quite as complex as this
no.
massive juggernaut of an idea we had. That was the right thing, I think, for it being the 40th anniversary. And for me, it's been a really good, fun way to experience the 40th anniversary. Um, this was our final a kind of chance to really reflect on the 40 years as a whole. This final episode is the proper, real final end conclusion to our regular the 80 Transformers 84 to 40, 84 to 24, 40 years of rolling out. And it has been an absolute joyous experience. We have got some fun ideas for the future. We will be around in February. We might not have our final ideas in place, but we have got time before then to kind of sit down, chat, and plan out what we're going to have. We'll have some more diverse stuff, and hopefully, we'll get to hear the full story of that last night. One of our movie nights that we know we want to do. So, thank you so much, Simon. Anything you want to say before we go?
That no no that's pretty much summed it up. It's been a really fun experience, and yes, I'm looking forward to what we've got coming up, and I hope other people will stay with us and enjoy what we've got coming. And do feel free to go back and watch these episodes again and again and again and again.
Thank you all. We look forward to seeing you the next time. Bye for now.
Bye.